If I want to take a look at these in a renderer, I can click the render box, and in Maya software, if I render, nothing is visible. If I render Maya hardware, they are visible, and in Mental Ray, I believe they are visible as well. So just know that the default are displaying these in something called points, and to see the shading, you go to your particle shape, and we were at dynamic properties. We'll keep going down. We're going to go out to shading, and here are the different render types. You have points, which we see now, which is a single dot. You have streaks, which are interesting. You have spheres. You have, but what we want to do is the cloud, like puffs. All right. Something else that once we have our rendered, this SW stands for software. So if we render that in Mental Ray, we can see it. If we render in software, we can see it. I don't think my hardware will see that now. Alright, so we're going to go there, and I want to go back to the top, and now we're going to take a look at this particle size. So let's take this down. I'm going to go to 0.1. Nope. Let's try 0.03. Now the next thing I want to take a look at is how the particles fade in and fade out. In your particle shape, if you go to a section called Per Particle Array Attributes, this is where you can begin to manipulate different attributes per particle. Now we want to create one that governs the opacity, and we have add dynamic attributes opacity, so we can just add it there. It said add per particle attribute. We add the attribute, and it comes up in the list here. Then we can kind of right click on this box beside it, and we say we want to create a ramp, and we want none in the U, we want the particle's age in the V, and map to new ramp. We just said OK. Then we want to right click here, we go here, and then off the screen there's something that says edit ramp. Let me see if I can pull this over here and you can see this. Edit ramp. Alright. Now opacity, anything that's white is opaque, and anything that is black is completely transparent. So if this is mapped to the lifespan, when it is born it's going to be all the way there, and when it dies it's going to kind of fade to nothing toward the end. Alright, what I'd like to do is I'll just click in here. I want it to kind of fade in as well. So I want to click this, and by clicking this I can scroll up and click here, and I'm going to let it start out. Alright, so it's going to start off transparent. It's going to become opaque. I want this to be opaque as well. And then I want it to kind of fade out. And if you want to delete one of these like I did a second ago, you just click the X. So let's see what that does. Alright. So you see they fade in, and they begin to fade out more slowly. So I like that. And if this were in a scene, I probably would not have the emitter in it. I would have this above it, so because it looks kind of strange in the beginning as they get shot off. But you know, I would probably have it down here, and you can, or maybe even here, and you can see the snow begin to fall. That doesn't look bad. But to add a little bit of randomization, you click your particle shape and you go into fields and solvers. I'm just going to add a turbulence field. There's several different fields you can play with, but I'm going to just snow turbulence field, and I'm just going to go with that, create, and and you see a little difference here, but I want to go into that turbulence field and really take up the magnitude to maybe 200, just so you can see that it really does do something. So you kind of see now what's happening. So that's a little extreme, but so we want to dial this down. Let's see what 50 does. We still want a kind of a slowly falling snow, but just something that's not, something that's a little more randomized. And you can go in and manipulate these phases, which will just change the randomness. I'll just put in some random numbers here, and it helps it calculate that turbulence and add a little bit of, so that's not bad. So it's fading out. Well, that's it for this tutorial. I hope this was useful, and visit the channel for other tutorials in Maya.